Hey guys, how's it going? This is going to be kind of for some of our younger people. I want to talk about some of the interesting people that I've met on YouTube now and Facebook. What I've noticed is that a lot of these kids that are running their mouth, your age 12 to 16. That seems to be the normal age for that kind of behavior. And I want to explain a little bit to you about what you might run into at some point in time, and a couple of the people that I've seen. One gentleman, his name was Jeffrey. I can't remember his last name. He was in his 50s, had a daughter in her 20s, and he started hitting on a female friend of mine, which she just kind of found it funny, a little creepy, but nothing that huge. And so, she kind of ignored it. But he kept getting creepier and creepier. And so I finally stepped in and said, hey man, you're too old for her. She's not going to be your girlfriend. I wasn't mean to him. I was very careful not to be. But he went off. Told me he was going to kill me, kill my family, kill everybody. So I decided that just wasn't, I don't tolerate that. So I found a couple of his family members. And one of his cousins said, well, he needs a girlfriend. And I said, no, you don't understand. So I sent screenshots of his conversation to me and to the lady friend of mine. And she goes, and her immediate response is, oh my God, okay, let me tell you the real deal. He's crazy. He's completely insane. And she sent me a newspaper article. In Youngstown, Ohio, one winter, he had actually been frozen to the floor of his own house because the home he lived in had no water and no power, and he was found laying on the floor with his jeans completely frozen to the floor, and paramedics had to scrape him loose or cut the jeans off or something like that. So this guy was legit crazy, okay? And this is the type of guy that would actually kill somebody, not someone you just want to mess with, for no reason. So, and that's what I could picture some 13, 14-year-old kid doing, is running their mouth to him, and this guy somehow finding out where you live and coming and actually trying to kill you. Another gentleman in his mid-50s, black guy, Seattle, Washington, seemed perfectly normal. You looked at his pictures on Facebook, he was a bicyclist. He had ridden bicycles through Mexico. He was obviously in excellent shape. Seemed to be, a normal, intelligent guy. Well, we were talking about arm wrestling. He said something incorrect, and like I do, I just corrected him. I wasn't mean about it because he wasn't, saying anything way off. But I said, no, that's not how it works. This guy goes off, calling me loser, calling me trash, trying to pick a fist fight with me. Okay. I don't take that either, so okay, pal, whatever you want to do, And he comes back saying, okay, now I'm going to file a federal report on you. He says he's a manager with the city of Seattle, Washington, says he's a city manager, and he says he was with the Washington State Patrol for 9 years. And he says he was a Marine before that and an F-16 mechanic. So, something just the way this guy was coming at me, a man that age, something just didn't seem right. So, I looked up I found his LinkedIn profile, and he said he was a janitorial manager for the city of Seattle. So I found the real janitorial manager for the city of Seattle and found out that this guy was just a janitor that worked for him. So that threw up a major red flag right there. So I read the rest of his LinkedIn profile, and it said he left the Washington State Patrol after 3.5 years. Now, granted, he told me 9. According to his LinkedIn profile, it was 3.5 years to become the head of security for Neiman Marcus. So I looked into that too. No, he was an unarmed security guard for Neiman Marcus. So then I looked into the Washington State Patrol, And he was never in the Washington State Patrol at all. I called their human resources. It took them 2 weeks to send me an email to say that this man was never a patrol officer in Washington State, never a state trooper in Washington State. So, that's another guy that, and he kept, he was threatening me with police action. He was threatening to beat me up. He was threatening me every way I could. And when I came back, he would threaten to file a report. That's a mental illness. Okay, that's something that, you don't, as a 13 or 14-year-old kid, you don't want to have to deal with a grown man like that. I've got one other one. On YouTube, this guy was threatening to fight everyone on there, saying he could whip everybody. So I took it as a joke. I was having fun that day, so I decided to mess with him a little bit. I knew something just wasn't right. And he said, "I've been to prison. You have no idea." He was bragging about how strong he was. And I knew something's just not right here. So it was his real name. I looked him up. And it turns out, yeah, he'd been to prison quite a bit. He had over 25 charges for harassing, stalking, and violence against women. And he said I don't remember, he said something about how big his arms were. And in real life, he was 5'5" and 140 pounds. He was a tiny little guy, all right? He was out of prison on parole, and he's completely crazy. So, there again. Now, what a lot of you kids are going to sit back and say, well, who the fuck cares? They can't find me. I'm on a fake name, everything else. Let me give you another story. I had a kid, and he was a kid. He was, I want to say he was 14 or 15 years old. But this kid found my Facebook page, took pictures of my wife and son, and did some real messed up photoshops with them. Okay, that is, when you get older, you will understand you don't mess with a man's wife and kids. And I had no clue how old this kid was at that time. I just knew somebody was taking pictures of my wife and child and was doing some very inappropriate things with them. So I went to a friend of mine who has an IP, who can trace IP addresses, and he found this kid in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I sent an email to his dad thinking it was him and said, "Look, I know you're having fun, but you will remove the pictures of my wife and child now." And this guy emails me back, goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'd already said, I traced your IP address. Here it is. This is to your computer. You will take these pictures down. This guy emailed me back and with a lot of apologies, saying it was his son that did it. The pictures were gone, and I have a feeling his son got a good talking to over that one. But the point is, if you're on your parents' computer or your phone or anything like that, you can be found. Okay, your IP address can be traced. So, and even if it can't, so say you're going on Facebook and running your mouth. If you have any friends on Facebook from your hometown, I can look at who likes your pictures, I can go through every little detail. I can find something about you that will point me in the general direction of where you are. And I'm not saying I'm a nice guy. I'm not out to hurt anybody. But there are a lot of people who are. Like the 3 examples I just gave. Those are people that are crazy and mentally ill. And if you think just because you're a kid, they won't slap you around, you're retarded. Okay? I'm all for kids having your fun. But, realize that you could be talking to someone who is entirely unhinged and you have no clue. Okay, I have kids. This is something I'm going to have to tell my kids. This is something obviously your parents haven't told you, or if they did, it didn't sink in. But it's not just you need to worry about. Like I said, when I traced this kid's IP address to Cincinnati, Ohio, I found out, this is who this computer is registered to, and I found his email address. I found where he worked. Okay? And I sent it to his work email. All right, this is not a joke. You can be found. So, and it's not just you that you have to worry about. You know, you think you're so tough? Okay. When some psycho shows up at your house, you're not going to be so tough anymore. Just letting you know. The point is, be careful. If you want to have fun, have fun. Honestly, I think if you sit behind a fake name and no content and talk shit, that's a really fucking cowardly thing to do. But I can't stop you from doing it. I'm not your daddy. So, I'm just telling you, be careful about what you're doing. There are people that don't give a shit that you're a kid. They're angry. They're distraught. Maybe they just got a divorce. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're just a straight up fucking psychopath. Be careful who you're talking shit to. Hey, hope everyone's having a great day. Stay safe. Peace, guys.